Hello, this is Lisa Lee, and welcome to this week's Pick a Card reading. We're going to be looking at the desire of your heart and how do you make that manifest? How do you make that actually manifest into your life? And so the first thing that we're going to be doing is identifying that desire. So we have 3 piles here, and I encourage you to take a moment, take a couple deep breaths, and just signify, signal the field of consciousness that you are a part of, that you want to be a part of this reading. Connect with your ascended ancestors, your ascended guides, and your highest self. And so while you're taking a moment to say that prayer, to sort of see which item sparks for you, the timestamps are below if you want to jump right to the numbers. If not, I'm going to get 3 different cards here as you sort of meditate. It's kind of like our entry way in. And there we go. This is pile number 1, pile number 2, and pile number 3. Okay, pile number 1. So for those of you that chose this, this trinket gives me Gemini vibes when I feel it. And so there's something here to twins, there's something here to a pair, and with the bottom of the deck being watch and wait, bottom of the deck being watch and wait. Let's take a look and see where this leads us. Now, the bottom of the deck energy that with that shuffle that we just did for the cards that are underneath the items, that does have an influence. There's something to magic working through you that your guides want to sort of bring in when it comes to like meeting your desire and what it is to encounter this desire, what it is to make this desire manifest in your life. There's something about trusting the magic. And so the first thing that I'm going to say, and I say this a lot, and this is true, is that love is always a miracle. Love is never a measure of strategy. Connection is never a measure of strategy. It's always miraculous. And so there's something to be said for like this miraculous, this magic that is part of what it is to look at this desire. Because watch and wait does signify that there has been a call for patience. And it might even be something along the lines of like, hope delayed makes the heart sick. I think that's a Bible verse or something. And so I don't know why that came from, but there's something here with that where your guides are saying, there's a call to watch and wait, but that means that there's been some call for patience. So let's take a look and see the nature of this desire. Let's see what our guides want to say about the nature of this desire. And with the seahorse there, I'm drawn to the seahorses. Like there's something about the seahorse where the male is the one who carries the baby. I don't know if that's true. I'm just seeing a pregnant seahorse and it's like somehow a male horse. And so I think it is true. It comes from somewhere. 2 of Cups. Yeah, I felt like this is definitely 2 of Cups vibes right here. There is a part of what it is that there's something that you desire here related to relationship or a type of relationship. 2 of Cups does tend to be like somebody who really sees and understands you for who you are. And so back to this notion of like love is always a miracle. It's not really about status. So it's not about like strategy and like the right look and the right job and the right position and the right past and the right, all the sort of check the box and then you get the thing reward system. That's not what actual connection, actual rewarding love, the type of love where you're seeing clearly. Now the Tower here again, like this is going to be a lack of stability or a lack of experience, like with this kind of love. So, because I feel like with patience, you know what I mean? With like watch and wait and like the wait there's been some call to patience. And with a Tower here, there isn't like a previously established foundation with being seen and appreciated and loved in this 2 of Cups way. So the first thing that we're going to say about this desire with the Chariot, the 6 of Pentacles, and the 5 of Swords, bottom of the deck, we've got the 7 of Pentacles. So we're coming in with a story about connection and the right kind of connection for you where, let me just reverse that, where there hasn't been a lack of reciprocity, where you've really had to pull things or push things forward yourself in one way or another, try to move things along. And it was like a fight to the finish, and also some kind of a fight in the exiting, like there wasn't an experience of proper mirroring, proper reciprocity. For some of you, you were kind of like absorbed into this person. Like they took you on, and like you became like, there was such an important exodus for you that I'm feeling with this, because I'm seeing something here about like you being divinely assisted in some form of an exodus and becoming this pearl in this hostile environment. You know, with this Two of Cups, you're looking at, and this is an interesting story that's coming through here. With this Two of Cups, you're looking at a pearl. And a pearl is developed and it is an irritant to its environment. And so for one reason or another, the pearl has a type of coating that is quite beautiful. It has a type of armor that is iridescent. It's dazzling. But the way that that pearl comes to be is that it's not accepted by the environment that it's in. The people aren't giving it praise and loving it and saying you're the most beautiful little nugget of sand that ever was. Instead, it's being pushed out of the environment. It's being actively rejected. And so it's almost like a beauty in defense of the development of something that is so transcendently gorgeous, despite the fact that it wasn't treated properly. It didn't receive good mirroring. So this is an interesting Two of Cups, because you have an individual here that is in one way or another being given its sustenance by an angel, and the way in which it's forming a self, a core sense of self, a way of like being in the world, it is developing this tremendous beauty, this incandescent quality, but it's not having an experience of being appreciated in the environment that it came from. It literally has to be kind of removed from this environment in some way in order to then be properly appreciated. Because think about the pearl. The pearl is not appreciated by the clam, which is the home that it came from. It's appreciated by the person who finds it and then puts it on a necklace and says, is this not the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? And wears it as a point of pride and shows it off. And so I see with the Tower here that what we're talking about in relationship to the desire of your heart is something, and I see the verse again, like love denied or hope denied makes the heart sick. Right? And so there's some relationship with this desire of your heart where the foundation that you built this hope on, we need to look at it. Because again, you know, there's a fight in you against what it means to make this manifest. Now, belief is permission, right? And that's kind of like a fundamental law. And I'm trying to think about how I want to phrase this, because it's you know, sometimes that's a lot to explain. You know, it's not all that simple. It's just saying it. But if you have foreclosed like if we were to say, you know, the type of mirroring that you need and deserve, that being like finding the right person, you know, it's like just another way of saying finding the right person. Like, again, there's magic here. There's something miraculous that your guides want you to stop thinking about it as whether or not you can or cannot have it based on a series of characteristics or criteria. So it's not, I can have true love because, you know, I'm the most fantastic person and it's just going to happen. And it's not, I'm not going to find true love because look at me and look at the life I've led and look at the person that I've become. Like, there's some way in which, like, you know, the way that the world has valued you or the way that you've been valued before is not necessarily, like, it's neither here nor there in relationship to what it means for you to actually have the desire of your heart met. So the first prerequisite in terms of the method of getting your desire of your heart met and having the right kind of relationship with the right kind of person is to actually, like, put it in its place. It's not something that you earn or failed to earn or got to on time or too late, you know, but something that lives in the arena and in the definition and in the world. It's a miracle. And so this is a spiritual happening that is beyond your control. And so it's a faith thing. And so, and that's where I want to kind of come in on, like, this notion of the Tower here around this hope, this desire, is that there's nothing that you could have done, you know, like, because there's 7 of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. That's why I'm saying this, you know, with 7 of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck, you know, that speaks to toil, working really hard and not getting anywhere with it, putting all of your, like, heart and soul out there, kind of a, you know, throwing your pearls to swine a little bit, or underselling yourself, or not realizing your worth until it was too late, or somebody else realized your worth, and, you know, that lack of reciprocity, that trying to, like, pull yourself from one point to another. This is a battle for some reason with the 5 of Swords. So your relationship to this desire in your heart is kind of fraught. And when we are manifesting something, and I kind of do hate that word, and you know, there's nothing I can do about it because it is the word that it is. But when you're calling something, when you're invoking something into your life by way of like calling it in, interacting with the archetypes, like working around like types of strategy to get what you want, being inspired by the desire to like be motivated, like there's so much there. We have to believe that it's possible. There's a motivation that is involved. And let me have a little bit of water. So, excuse me. Sometimes I like have a hard time sort of pacing myself with these readings. When it comes to the adventures of life, right? When it comes to getting your emotional needs met, because that's essentially what we're talking about. If you don't have a foundation in what it means to get your emotional needs met from your home of origin, and we see that with the clam and the pearl, then this could be a very difficult challenge. And so when I say that, like, the love that you're calling in is not something that you can work your way, you know, into a good place with, but with motivation, because it's like, it's a miracle. But what desire does, and why this is important, is that it motivates us out into the world. So when we desire love, when we desire another person, when we desire to be seen a certain kind of way, that desire motivates us to be places where we're going to be seen, to show up in ways that somebody can interact with, to put something on display or put something on offer, or to do something that would in some way invite the opportunity of another person's gaze or consideration. So if you do not believe in your heart of hearts of hearts of hearts that anyone is going to find you and appreciate you when you go into the world with this sort of agenda, then the likelihood is you won't go into the world with this agenda. And so when we think about motivation, when we think about desire, like for you to make this happen for you, this right kind of love, you're not ready. Watch and wait. And you probably don't feel your readiness, because there's probably a part of you that says like, yeah, I gave up, or like I had it and it sucked, or like I'm making it work at the level that it is, and like, you know what I mean? Like there's something here with the Tower that indicates to me that you haven't had this good experience, or that there isn't a belief that this could truly happen. And so when we think about stoking the flames of belief around this particular thing, step one, it's not something that you could have earned before. You would have earned it by now, honestly. Like when you think about like this type of love and this kind of miraculous event of being seen in a certain kind of way, the way that you are, the person that you are, the way that you've put yourself into the world, you would have earned it already. So it is not by effort. So the first thing that we have to sort of consent is that, like, you know, you didn't fail. You know what I mean? So because not succeeding doesn't mean you failed. It means that the miracle like has a timing that it wants to occur in. There's a readiness and a preparedness and an openness that you're invited into the experience of in order to make this so. And so yes, it can be so, but there is permission at the level of allowing a desire to be something that can be true. Because if it can't be true, it stays in the realm of imagination, it stays in the realm of fantasy, and you guard it to keep it there. Because you're not trying to pull this into a place where it can have an encounter with the real. Because at some level, there is a comfort in not believing that it can be. Because believing that it can be is a challenge in one way or another to step out of your comfort zone. And so what's going to call you out of your comfort zone? Somebody who sparks that belief in you. You know, that'll do it. So most of the time we can get some object of desire that's going to wake us up and say, no, I'm going to work for this. I'm going to be around this person. I'm going to put myself in orbit of them. I'm going to start to do this and that. And that doesn't always pan out. But that call into the wild is very much a part of what it is to say yes to this opportunity to have this kind of relationship. And so that's not person specific, but you can be inspired by a person. There's no problem with that. But, you know, having your hopes hung on a person, like either receiving you or rejecting you, that's not the same as being open to this kind of love. And so to be open to this kind of love, which is what your guides are actually asking you to do with the Sailor, new influences, wanderlust, you know, get out of that comfort zone, go out and do stuff that like you wouldn't necessarily do unless you were trying to be around the person that you wanted to be in their life. You wanted them to be in your life. And so we all know what it is to have an object of desire. And we all know what it is to sort of linger in their vicinity or, you know, begin to fashion ourselves for their gaze. Like there is a growth arc in that. That's engaging with this particular desire. Where this gets shut down is when we don't get the reception that we expect from that person. But your guides are saying here that, like, when you accept that this is a matter of magic, it's a matter of miraculous, like, it, you know, once you're open to it and you're really in a place of reception, let's take a look at what our guides want to say here, because the Seven of Pentacles, again, something that you worked for this before and it didn't pan out, or you put in a lot of work around this and it wasn't what it was, you know, cracked up to be. But you guys want to sort of speak to that, because the Watch and the Wait says that there is something to wait for. It's not here yet. With the Alchemist, yeah, I felt this. And the Mask. When you call something into your life, and when you're serious about it, and when you, like, look at all the 7 winds, you know what I mean, and you, like, call into the god, there's, like, this whole process that I use anyway when I'm calling something, this discovery, or, you know, when I'm calling something into my orbit, when I'm calling an experience, an archetype, a type of, like, thing forth, there is a way in which, like, you know, like, life will prepare you, and that might not be a very comfortable thing. And so if you've been calling in this type of love, then life is going to work on preparing you to receive it. And so that readiness is not just about, like, I want it so much, it has to be here. Like, when you're calling something into your life and you're saying, this is going to be a part of my life, I'm going to have this experience, I am manifesting this thing. Can you manifest another person? No, you're not a slave driver. You know, you don't possess things. Like, you're not possessive. So you have to kind of open your hand around what you're calling in. When you're attracted to someone, when you're in a limerent relationship with someone who is not in your life, then what they represent and the relationship that you're having is the archetype that they are to you. Because if you're not in a relationship with them, you don't know them well. You're not talking to them in the morning when they have bad breath, and you're not experiencing the real of who they are, then it is an archetype that you are in love with. And so that archetype is not just that person, that's a type, that's a person that you want in your life. That's a type of experience that you want to have in relationship to. Not necessarily where you're, like, tyrannical, it has to be this person. If you open your hand and you say, it has to be this kind of person that represents these things that I really want to cultivate a relationship to outside of myself. Like, there is a call with the Alchemist here to sort of, like, make yourself ready to receive this type of relationship, which means that you have to be clear on who you are. No masks, even with yourself. The way that you present yourself. Like, that's going to be, like, that's key to, like, even cultivating this desire in some ways. But a crossroads and an exploration. You know, the method here, step 1 of the method here for you. So it's like, you know, identifying, like, yes, I want this type of relationship that I have not had success in having before. And it needs to be miraculous, which means that I have to, like, have some relationship with nature where I trust the universe to provide. But the motivation to get from point A to point B in terms of getting into that position of readiness and openness, that's a different process, and has nothing to do with strategy and hard work and toil. Like, if you think, well, I have to be a certain weight and I have to look a certain way or else I'm not going to have the type of person that I want. If you want to look a certain way, you look a certain way because you are inspired to do so by this archetypal arrangement. And that's, like, desire, and that's commitment that has very little to do with success and failure that is in somebody else's control, you know? And so when your guides say, like, you know, that to make that alchemy of what it is to be seen clearly, appreciated for who you truly are, you first have to be who you truly are. And that is a process of discovery here with the astronomer on the bottom of the deck. You might know who you are in the sense of, like, how you react to trauma, but that's very different than the person that you are, that you create of the circumstances of your life, the nest that you create, the type of relationship that you nurture, who you are in relationship, who you are when you think about, like, how you describe yourself or what it is to even describe yourself. Like, this is all the work, you know, having a certain fluency in relaying your emotions and your thoughts and even your history. And so, like, when we have, like, choked up stuff around that, the invitation is not to, like, believe or disbelieve that this is possible, but to understand that the process of discovery, which is going to be so much fun and such a beautiful experience, is required to create the alchemy where this relationship is something that you can tangibly have. And it's, again, like, the magic is there, not with, like, good or bad behavior and you're following the steps and you're eating right and you're the perfect person and therefore you should be picked. None of that. Because again, it's like a miraculous thing. And if you go and look at real love, not like love that people sort of agree that they're going to have this status and people are going to look at them right if they just do this thing. And, you know, not that kind of exchange based, like, you know, I'm a doctor, you're a lawyer, and now we can have expensive children. Like, nothing like that. Like, we're talking about, like, if you look for love in the world and you really look for it, you're going to see it in like the elderly couple, and you're going to see it, you know, in the people that are both shaped like, you know, exactly the same. Like, there's something really beautiful about the way that love like manifest itself in places that are, you know, have nothing to do with what you earn or you don't earn. And so when you kind of like accept that as a baseline and begin to really accept who you are at, like, not as like, you know, and who you want to be and how you want to be seen as a big part of the romance that you get into when you engage with romance. It's not about being chosen. It's this whole like array of behaviors and aspirations and a relationship with the erotic, you know, the way that you dress yourself and put yourself together. And so when it comes to like figuring out, like, you know, yes, you want to be seen clearly, you want to be loved, you want to have the right reception. There has been some really horrible experience in the past with the tower and what it meant for you to receive properly. There hasn't been proper reciprocity. It has been an uphill battle. There's something here about this fight to the finish, you know, with the Seven of Pentacles and the sunk costs. And so your guides are saying, pick your head up from whatever that wreckage is and begin to think about this belief that this could happen. First of all, it's a miracle. So you're going to just have faith that the miracle is the miracle, that it comes when you are fully ready to receive. And that has to do with really knowing who you are. And so, like, you may, again, your guides are saying, you know, you may be pretty practiced at articulating certain things, but there has to be a moment of reflection here around whatever this crossroads and exploration is. That means you don't actually know where you're going. You don't actually 100% know who you are. You have sort of an idea. You like certain things. There are certain archetypes that are your ride or dies. You know you're going to be doing that sort of thing. But like ultimately here, the fact that the crossroads, the exploration, the cartographer, like this is like, I don't really know 100% where I'm going. Because where you're going has a lot to do with who you are going to be and who you want to be. And even being on the road of like knowing where you want to go and going is also putting you in orbit of the type of people that are going to complement that life. And so you're not going to have to fight to like fit them in your life, and you're not going to have to fight to fit yourself in their life, because there's something about the flow of common interests that sort of brings you together. And so your guys are basically saying, you know, like there is a call here to watch and wait, to hope, and to begin to cultivate that hope, and to begin to allow yourself to cultivate that hope. Because whatever your particular situation is, and we all have particular situations, there's an answer here that you're like, that isn't the tower. There's an answer here that isn't struggle. There's an answer here that isn't sunk costs, where you pour all kinds of investment into someone who just ends up being not worth it. So the answer isn't any of those circumstances. The answer is it's always been a miracle. You couldn't have willed it away, and you can't will it into being. The only thing that you can do to make this a possibility, to open to the permission, you know, there is some like consent here, to belief is permission, to believe it's possible, is then to like signal to the universe that this is something that you want to participate with. And what it means to participate with this particular desire in a very real, honest way is to then see that there is some cause to pause. There's alchemy here, like really creating yourself and the life that you want to share in a very intentional way. Inspiration, right? And so like, you know, it's almost like this call here to begin to re-engage with this idea of being seen and understood and loved. And like, this is emotional intimacy, like true emotional intimacy. To really engage with the idea of like inviting this emotional intimacy into your life. You know, it's not about just like fixating on a person specific thing. Never ever is. Because the relationship that you have with the archetype that you are in limerent object, you know, desire with is always disappointing because of just sort of like where it starts, right? But that doesn't mean that the journey, that the inspiration, like wasn't taking you where you were meant to go all along. Every journey starts with a single step. And so your guys are saying, you know, magic works through you. There is a call to believe that like these things are always sort of miraculous. And if you look at them in nature, and that's like in relationships that are like, yeah, I'm not talking about an Instagram reel that is always an advertisement. I'm talking about that sacred love. I want you to start looking for sacred love, not looking for sensational love. Sensational love is always like some weird, it's like a beauty contest with 2 people instead of 1. That's not it. So like, what is it? You know what I mean? Like, look for sacred love, examples of sacred love. These are usually found in like the foxholes. Like these are some really beautiful things. And so this is a gift, right? So the inspiration here, that's the same thing as belief as permission, allowing yourself to be inspired by ideas and dreams and thoughts that involve you being properly loved and properly seen and properly appreciated. Think about, what does this feel like? What does this tangibly like? What does it taste like? What does it do? You know? And so when you allow yourself to actually sit with that, you know, you're going to have that like ambling dream. It could be about some very specific person, but you hold it with your hand open, knowing that it's an invitation into a circumstance, not a fixed outcome, because we're not tyrants, you know? And so what we have here with visions of life beyond death and Pandora's gift is there's a call to sort of accept that, like, you know, there has been some circumstance with the Tower and lack of reciprocity, trying to pull something up a, you know, hill, and then like the 5 of Swords, something fighting you. There's this is the visions beyond death, is like, how do you look beyond those stories and allow yourself to like open this gift? Now, is this gift going to yield an outcome of a perfect love that doesn't hurt you and it can't have any risk, and we need it to, because we can't, not again, you know what I mean? And our guides are saying that this magic, you know, this miracle of love, there is some aspect of Pandora's gift. Like, I want to get a couple more cards on that before we shut out this pile. How are we doing on time? We're doing perfect. Let's just get a couple more cards on this Pandora's gift to see why your guides are saying, you know, it's not some quest for the perfect. It's never a quest for the perfect, not in the other person, not in the circumstance. It's not like you have to have the perfect, you know, bank account before you're ready to have a relationship. You have to have the perfect body before you think about what it means to date again. You have to have the perfect, you know, sense of your own value before you know, end up being, you know, like there's something here about control that it does not happen. Like Pandora's gift, Pandora's box really speaks about not control. Lack of control. This is not something you control. Can you make someone fall in love with you? This is not something that you can control. You can happen to fall in love with someone and they can happen to fall in love with you, but that's a miracle that's outside of your control. Can you force the thing that you're trying to create to, you know, manifest in this exact way? Like Pandora's gift says, this is not about controlling an outcome. And this is not about knowing what's going to happen. And this is not about certainty in any way, shape, or form. The visions beyond death is kind of look away from the wreckage, because that's telling you a story that you're now applying to the future in order to be certain that you can't get hurt again. And that's not what we're doing here. What we're doing here is the alchemy of helping you see who you truly are, to help you understand like this hiding your true self and projection thing. That comes up like as a defense. It's something that we do in defense of the person who was hurt. I'm now going to be like this. In defense of this characteristic that is rejected, I'm now going to project this other thing. These are all concessions and self-abandonment that take you away from being seen in a way that is real. And take you away from what it means to have that encounter with the real and the love. And there's an alchemy there that needs to happen here for you to be able to receive that. And that alchemy is completely doable. But again, like the certainty dance, you know, has to be negotiated with, because you are at this crossroads and you're trying to explore, who are you? What do you want? What kind of relationship? Who's this person? And you're invited again with the discovery, augury, the astronomer on the bottom of the deck to, like your guys are saying, wait, with little patience, you know, you can't possibly be too late for this opportunity because it's a miracle. All right. And so what your guides are going to do to make you ready is they're working with this inspiration, where you're allowing yourself to be inspired by ideas of how the forms that love can take for you. It's going to look different than it did when you were like 15, 18, 21. Like that's the formula that they hand out, that then you have to like race and compete to like be the best. You know, this is a different kind of experience because it's real. You know, that's why. It's the miracle version. It's the actual holy version, not the sensational sold to you. It's the sacred. It's the real. That's what you're asking for. And so with this meditation, communication, and culture, yeah, you're called here, and the yellow is speaking to me, and the yellow is speaking to me. You're called into a period of self-discovery with the anticipation of being discovered and loved by the person who is meant for you. This is a miraculous encounter that comes with the right alchemy, the right chemistry. And so your guides are saying with the completion, the support, and the expediency, and the watch and wait, there is some pain around this delay, but your guides are saying that the method, every journey starts with a single step, is to, there's something about like that I hear like a clock ticking, tick, 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 you know, all those years lost, you know, there's a lot of like sounds that I'm getting right now, and like, where in my life would I have the time? Like every journey starts with a single step. Your openness to this particular desire that is in your heart is what's in question here, not whether or not it can be had. Whether or not it can be had, again, that's a miracle. Do you believe in the miracle? Well, what you're being told by guides, and this is an exercise of belief. This is a spiritual practice. Like we are in the realm of belief, you know, with our little hands doing, and our guides are saying, your guides are saying, we're telling you what to do. The method is every step. Like your guys are saying, you want this love? It all starts with a single step. What's the step that you're taking? Not towards some kind of excellence, but some sort of rediscovery or discovery of who you are. So that when you're able to sort of bring that to the surface, which is the work here, it will be properly received. And what it meant for you to have a poor reception in the past had a lot to do with the nature of the gift of love. And what it is to know that it's not ever going to be the same situation twice. And if you have had patterns in your life, these are reminders that there's something left to work out. But you've worked out enough here. And I feel like a sore spot with that. But you're being called into belief to not make the perfect the enemy of the good with this Pandora's gift. And that to get to that place where you have the strength and the fortitude to have those right kinds of boundaries, but also allow for those boundaries not to be walls. For you to do that, again, we have to be inspired. We have to think about the type of love that feels safe, the type of love that you want to have. What does that even look like? Who are you in that relationship? Who are you in relationship? What is your relationship to the substance of love itself? How do you cultivate that in your life? This is the alchemy. This is the work. So there's weight, and you guys are saying, so the method is you're going to work on this a little bit. And that expediency that I saw over here, right here, champion, you can do it. Like it'll happen quickly. Like once you are in the right place of reception, that's what your guys are saying with this. And I know that that's not like the sensational answer, but sacred love. Once you can recognize it in yourself and others, that's the key. That opens the door. That's what that is the whole process right there. And that starts with yourself. And so that's how you get practice. And so your guys are saying, get practice with sacred love, and you're making a space for it. And so with that, we're going to leave this message. Pile number 1, that beautiful partnership where you are seen clearly, appreciated, valued, and your growth is nurtured, and you are supported. That right love, that's the desire of your heart. That's identifying it. The method is we're going to work on the alchemy here with sacred love, and that will get you there. And it'll get you there quicker than you think. But there is a process at play that says it's not immediate. And your guides are inviting you to enjoy this process at play because it is filled with magic. It is filled with pleasure. And it is not, there's nothing that is sunk costs about it. With the 8 of Pentacles and the 8 of Cups, you know, there's work to be done, leaving behind like investments in a type of story that you were given in the past that no longer applies. And that's I think the hardest part with this discovery. but there's celebration to be had because your guide, it's something to do with family, right? And so your guides are saying there is family, and they just want you to know that. And so with that, we're going to leave this here, and I will see you again soon. Okay, pile number 2, those of you who chose the dog paw rock. This is a cool rock, and the story behind this is interesting because it is a rock. If you look at it, it is not a piece of cement or anything that was molded. And I was working with Hecate at the time, and just around the like right at the moment, sort of as she was sort of telling me that it was time for me to get a dog, I looked down and I saw this. And so this was and so this is something kind of magical. And our bottom of the deck energy when we were pulling these cards like is magic works through you. And so what I told pile number 1, and what is true for you as well here, is that there is some element of miraculous or divine intervention in whatever we're talking about in terms of this desire. And so with the bottom of the deck energy being slow and steady wins the race, and this paw, slow and steady wins the race, and the train whistle going off in the back. So like that's confirmation, because I was just thinking to myself, you know, I've been getting this lesson a lot. I'm getting this lesson so much that I'm like at a point where it's like bothering me. So I understand like the tendency to, and again, there's like the time management thing in the train. And so whatever it is that we're talking about in terms of your desire, that, you know, that your heart's desire, and we're going to get more cards on that. There's first this aspect of like the tyranny of the urgent, and some relationship with time where there's not enough of it, or like I almost see somebody who like any interruption in the day that kind of takes time from you. There's something here about like there never being enough time, and or there's not enough time, or a relationship with whatever this was that is like like time has some tyrannical quality to it. So with slow and steady wins the race, like even in terms of like motivation and like I got to get there, and I need to make this happen no matter what, and I'm not going to lose, like that's the opposite of slow and steady wins the race. So there, like I'm picking up on kind of like a drive around this in relationship to time. So let me get some more cards. Especially with this particular like item. This item speaks of like a companionship or a relationship, or even like a commitment, like at the right time, right? You know, in the right way. And even like an ambition. There's something here about timing that's so important. And we do have the Two of Cups. Now, the Two of Cups in this same deck came out in the pile number 1, so you might want to look at that with the Fool in reverse. So there, that Fool in reverse says it's like it's not the starting line. It's not the start of the race. Especially when it comes to being received properly. There's a Death card here, a Strength card here, and the 7 of Wands. In the bottom of the deck, we have a 6 of Swords and the Hanged Man. Ooh. Let me get more information. Let me see the nature of this desire. I want to get a sense of the nature of what this desire might be speaking to. A rebirth is assured. So it's something that like may have died for you before, or needs to die in a certain way in order to be reborn in a different. And so there's an interruption that we're seeing here, especially with the Fool card in reverse is like halt, wait. You have to slow down in order to see something here. It's critical. Because whatever this 7 of Wands situation is, like there's some defense here. Let me take a look. Because I feel like you have to slow down. There's a detail. Okay, I'm going to tell you stories about me for a second, because I can't not like bring this into it. I'm just like seeing something from my life that's happened twice. And I think it's related because I'm seeing these little landmarks from those journeys. So 2 days in a row, I had this experience of not being prepared and getting lost. So like I had a doctor's appointment and I couldn't find my insurance card to go to the doctor's appointment. And so like I started to run late, and I was going to be behind because I couldn't find this card. I had to leave without it so that I wasn't late, but I didn't leave myself with very much time. And then because I was harried and I was in a rush and I was sort of annoyed and like really amped up, not being able to like get everything operating the way I wanted to, when I put the name of the doctor's office into my navigator, the doctor's office was like something, something, you know, and then and there was something with a very similar name that I went to put something into the navigator, it autofilled, I hit start, it took me to something that was similarly named to the doctor's office, and that was not the right place to go, and I got really lost. And I didn't just get lost, I went in circles because I doubted myself, and this is from this deck over here. Oh, I got shuffled in the wrong deck. You know, I doubted myself, you know, like I was a spaz, and by the time I had gotten there, because I got, you know, turned around twice, I ended up like having to reschedule the appointment. Now that was day one. And had I just like been able to slow down long enough to focus, to see what I was putting in the navigator, that would not have happened. And then today on my walk, I walked my sister to work, and on the way back, I decided that I didn't need my navigator, that I roughly knew where I was going, and that I like more or less had a sense of direction, knowing that I have no sense of direction. Anyway, I was lost for like a half an hour in the streets, and I had to get my navigator out, and I was like a pain in the neck. So all that to say, like, there's something crucial around you finding your right direction with what this desire is. And again, we're going to get more on that desire before you can move anywhere with it or go anywhere with it. Bottom of the deck energy over here is Six of Swords. Before you can move forward with the Hanged Man, something needs to be dislodged. Something needs to be moved. And so we do have some kind of like a journey here from where you are and where you're meant to be that involves a death. And that you have the strength to endure this. There's something to be said for what you have built or created or what can preserve. But with the Seven of Wands here being about a defense, again, there is cause to pause. So we're kind of like coming right into this reading with just a lot in the way of method. I really want to see more about the nature of what this desire is. How can we identify this desire? Because I think it has to do with the way that you are received. And so we're going to get some more information. Sacred Fool and Spirals of Manifestation. The Fool in reverse with the Sacred Fool coming out. And the listening for truth. Your guys are like, slow it down. You're missing something crucial. You have to be able to feel and know, which means that you can't, like, sometimes with this collective, I can feel this. A lot of you have this thing where you get the zoomies. A lot of you have this thing where I can feel this energy. It reminds me of the zoomies, that a cat or a dog will get the zoomies, and then and I feel like there's something about you where you kind of get like locked into that. Because again, when I was like lost, you know, on my walk, when I got lost in the car, both times I had my zoomies on too. And so your guides are saying, like, in order for you to listen for the truth of what you need to hear, in order for you to do the kind of listening that we're asking you to do, the rebirth with the Death card, like, there's something that needs to die in order for it to have a different kind of life. And so the first thing that I'm going to say about your desire of your heart here is that identifying it is really important. Because like, it's almost kind of like your guys are saying, like, I know you think you want this, because the Sacred Fool's freedom, it's a type of freedom. It's a type of, I don't care what people think of me. I just have something to bring into this world. The Spirals of Manifestation is, I desire to create. I want to create into the mirror, you know, the world. I want to bring this fearlessness. I want to bring this rebelliousness. I want to make change. I want to have this impact. And your guys are saying, like, you're very powerful in what it is that you, like, there's an exuberance in what it is that you want to put on offer. But the Fool here in reverse says, halt, wait. It's, I see somebody who gets inspired and they go 150 miles an hour in that direction because they're like, okay, here it is. I'm going to, and your guys are saying, like, there's fear that is fueling you. There's addiction that is fueling you when you're acting, when it's the zoomies in one way or another. I got to get there first, right? You know, so like your guys are saying, like, stop, slow down. You're missing the plot here. They want you to, and we're going to look at this closer. So the nature of your desire is you really want to create. You want to create something beautiful. You want to make things into the world. You want to bring major change. You want to bring a new perspective. You want to free yourself from, like, the old systems. Like, let's find out more. Because I think that's really, you know, when I feel those zoomies and when I say that, like, I kind of, I get the sense that, like, it's not, like, it's like this urgency, this feeling, this but it's not well conceived. Somehow it's not well conceived. And so your guys are saying, you know, like your drive and your zest, you know, is we need to bring it into a more peaceful place. You do need a change in perspective in order to allow something to be born here. And we have to look at what needs to be dying here, because whatever this dream was, it's not sustainable in the way that it currently looks. Right? The way that it looks, the face that it wears, the outfit that it's in, the route that it takes, the manifestation as you're bringing it into form. Like there's something here. You need to slow down in order to hear this. You need to slow down in order to properly bring this into a place of rebirth. It's not going to move forward. In terms of the method, we're not moving forward with anything that is going to become the thing that you really want here with this manifestation, this creation. I feel like it's a project, it's a lifestyle, it's a legacy almost. It feels almost like a legacy. But on the deck, Ten of Pentacles, money. Yeah, the Death card is coming out again in reverse, okay? So with the Seven of Wands and the Seven of Wands, like we are talking about like a need to defend what it is you are meant to bring into this world. You can't helter-skelter it out. You need to slow down. You need to think about this in a very like intentional way. The Ten of Pentacles tells me that that you have something that is worth a lot. That what you're trying to bring into form is worth a whole heck of a lot. But I think you're the rebel. I think you're the I don't care, you know, devil may care, you know, I don't do this, I don't do that, you know, like there's the rebel without a cause, and your guys are saying like no, like you're manifesting something really amazing with the way that you want to create and what you want to create. It's worth a whole lot, but again, it has to, like the old form, whatever the old form this took was, whatever this desire is in your head. So maybe this desire in your head is like a rocket ship to like stardom. Maybe this desire in your head is like, I'm trying, you know, it's like, it's funny because it's so not well formed, you know, like I'm picking up on something that, here with the Two of Cups, like I want to be seen for who I am and what I have to say, and I'm not going to compromise on anything. I'm not a trade, or you know, like there's something here about this Two of Cups. You know, the pearl is of great value, but we have the Seven of Wands in two different places. Like there's some defense that is required here. There's some angelic assistance that is required here. There's something about the way in which you like are nourished in your vision that you're, you know, it might be like an addiction to flow states, but no ability to commit to a process. Like I'm feeling this whole, like something about the way that things are being done. Like we need to throw something into the fire. We need to get rid of something like the drawing board. I think we have to start fresh in one way or another. The old project has like, it needs to become something else. Because this is a dog that was rescued. This object is, it actually, you know, when I was working with Hecate, she said, okay, it's time to get a dog. I look down on my walk, I see this, I pick it up, I say, it's time to get a dog. And then I went, and that's why I got the dog that I got, because I like followed the things, you know, the signs, and I went and I saw the black dog that I saw in the vision, and I got her. But you know, she was not what I expected, and she wasn't the vision of a puppy that I had before, and she certainly wasn't what I had in mind when I thought about healing from the loss of a dog that was like my soul dog. Like there's a lot here that is like what is meant for you and what you're meant to have. It's gonna change form from what you think. And so your guides kind of invite you to really slow down, because they're trying to tell you, they're trying to inspire you, they're trying to bring this information in. And as long as you're trying to run at the 100 miles an hour, you're going to win the race. You're going to win. Like if that's what you're doing here with whatever this not well-conceived plan is, like there's magic in you, but something has to die in order for something to be reborn. So I want to see what has to die right now. I want to look and see what that is, because again, I'm seeing like a type of reception that in order for you to receive it, you need to stop the way that you're doing it. And you need to think about what it is that you have on offer. And you need to listen to the guides, because there's a strategy at play here that is required, and however you are doing it, that needs to stop. And we're going to find out what that means. So you have a real radical detour in terms of the method here with whatever it is that you are manifesting. Here's the Sacred Fool. You know, I keep on being drawn into the way that she is being, this is speaking to me of like manipulation. What is being manipulated here? How are you being manipulated to perform? What are you performing? Why are you performing it? Something about that needs to change, right? Like, what is manipulating you? Instead of the Sacred Fool, which is a rebel and strong and doesn't, you know, like there's something really beautiful about like this devil may care attitude, but that's not the experience that this person in the card is having. The person in this card is focused and fixated on somehow manipulating a situation, or that person's focus is being manipulated by something that's dancing them around, but they're not hitting a stride with it. And so when it comes to what you're trying to manifest, there is something here that is on offer that you're not able to properly receive. And it has to do with this desire, because it's like you want something more than anything. What is that thing that you want more than anything? Let's just take a minute and try to answer that question. Because if the answer is like, I want to be seen, understood, and loved, and I want to be paid to be me, right? That's a good example. That's a lot of people right now. I hear that often. Well, what are you making? You know what I mean? And like, why? And like, why? Like, and so, because there's something here about the effort. That we have to look at here. Listening for the truth. Slow and steady wins the race. Like, there's a cause to pause. Let's take a look. Death and rebirth in like 3 different places. I need to understand this. What are your guides trying to show you that they want you to slide? So there's something that they want to offer you that is like meant for you with this temple, with whatever it means to build this temple. Whatever this, so agape is gonna, okay, so this is like the love of the gods. Agape is an unconditional, like this is God's love. Like it is a profound, it is a beautiful love. And so I think that you do love something that you do. There's something about what you do that you truly love. The temple is sacred. The temple is a sacred space. And so there is a call here about like what is on offer that requires for this space to be made sacred. What do you mean by that? Let me just get some more information, because I'm like a little bit stumped here at the level of what needs to die with the temple. Let's get answers. I'm not really sure. She feels she knows. Like this indicates that like you have to stop and feel in order to sort of really truly encounter this knowing. So this knowing, like you might be running away from it. Like it might be like a reckoning that you don't want to listen for, you don't want to hear. The 7 of Wands, again, in 2 different places. And with these 2 things in reverse is kind of the way that they came out. And I do listen to that stuff. You know, what I'm seeing here is that like, this has to die in the way that you're doing it in order to properly support you. So if it was barely supporting you the way that you were doing it, like you have to, so what about this temple needs to die? Because the agape at the bottom of the deck speaks to like a true love, a real love, a holy love, a sacred love. And the temple is a sacred space. So what needs to die? Like, I almost feel like the temple, like there's something about the temple here with Atlantis. Rapid development, excellence, and success. You may have like had some rapid success or some rapid development, and your guides are basically saying that, yeah, this is a guide, a mentor, a trustworthy ally. And this is experiments, manipulation of nature, forcing change, cruelty in the pursuit of knowledge, arrogance. Like, so something got a false start. So one of the first things that we're going to say about your method here, you know, what you want is to make this thing, this project. Like, I feel like it's something, you know, like that you, like a career, honestly, like a kind of, you know, slow and steady, you know, even if it is a relationship, like this cause to pause, like with 2 of Cups, it could very well be a relationship, but halt, right? Halt. you're running at something that has to change radically in order to become like manifested in a way that it like meets your needs. So that's why it doesn't matter whether it's a success in terms of career or relationship. For this to actually tangibly meet your needs, for what is on offer to be like had by you, you have to slow down and listen carefully, because you know what you want. It just, you have to feel it. You have to really get in touch with your feelings on this one. Because your feelings are driving you in a direction that, like, I think you're looking for a type of rapid success. I do. And there may have been some rapid success before, but this is signifying with the death card 2 times here in 2 different decks. That was a false start. And that might have even given you some kind of like a false sense of like what it means to achieve excellence and to achieve success. And so with the Hanged Man being like, you know, stuck in a perspective and an expectation that somehow a death is not required in order to facilitate a rebirth, you want a different situation. You want whatever it is that you love here to be in some way like operating from this sacred space and not from a space of demand, with the experiments here. And so let's take some more cards, because like I'm like, what? You have the strength to like tame this and to defend this and to do something here. But that death and that rebirth process is about making something that, like, again, like when I see the creative process, it's like prayer. It's a sacred space with experiments and manipulation and forcing and cruelty. Is this creative process really infected with stuff that doesn't belong in the creative process? Because this is something that is holy, that you love. This is a sacred thing that you want to create. Is the demand for excellence like poisoning the alchemy of what this process is? Now, I do understand that we have some kind of a thing here related to success where you want to, you know, you want to have your success. You want to make it in the world. You want to win, win, win. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's always something here with that, because I feel like the zoomies and the rushing. But this slow down to receive what's on offer. You need to be taking a different approach. The like whatever like way in which you've been doing things, like that has to go. What are your guides showing me here? So the death is like related to like a bad soup, right? You've got all these great ingredients, and then there's some sort of like poison with like tyranny and have to get there first and have to get there fast and like, you know. And so your guides are saying, yeah, this is the pestilence, the corruption, the malice. Your guides aren't going to let you put bad ingredients in whatever it is that you're serving because of who you are. They wouldn't do that. They would not allow that to move forward. And so there is a call to like defend what is holy with the agape and the temple here, and to slow down about what is on offer, because meeting demands is not the name of the game. That's what I'm feeling, yeah, with the prince here. Sorrow, lost valor, serendipity, the adversary. A call for defense almost indicates that there is an adversary here. Magic works through you, and sometimes magic working through you is holding you back because they don't want you to give away something that is of great value with that 10 of Pentacles. So you might be held back here for good reason. You might be in the wrong place with the... So I'm being reminded of like another reading that we did where there was like the example that someone gave about, you know, if you're trying to sell a fine diamond at a car show, it's going to be undervalued. You have to go to the diamond show to sell the fine diamond. And so there's something here about like, you know, the place that you were going to sell to whatever you were doing, like the way that you were doing it, whatever that rapid rise was, your guides want you to slow down, halt. They're not going to let you succeed in this way. It's going to be throwing your value to something that is just going to be like, they're not letting you get defeated on this. So the desire of your heart is this beautiful agape temple, sacred. But what it is for you to like have success with this, it's not going to look like some rapid rise. And if you had some rapid rise, that's like, it was a false start on account of just, I don't even think it's you. Yeah. healing, acceptance, graciousness, hope, incompleteness and yearning, and just reward, evaluation, and respite. So your guides are saying you will be rewarded. There is a place for what you have on offer, but you're being short-sighted about your ambition here. And it's just like, it's like self-serving at the level of wanting to, like, you know, meet a certain goal in a certain way that is like kind of taking you away from the process that you need to be in right now. And so the first thing that you're being told is like to accept that this is a process where you have to slow down and focus and pay attention to the direction that you are taking with whatever it is that you want to manifest and create. And I'm being shown these little landmarks from me being lost. Like I needed to make sure that I had the direction set first before I started moving and going and doing, right? In both circumstances, if I had just set the course, I would not have gotten lost. I would have not wasted time. I would have not exhausted myself. I would have not made myself cry. I would have not had missed my appointment. And so with what is on offer here, your guides are saying you have to set the path before you begin the journey. And that's going to be what it means for you this time to achieve success. So if you are just like constantly like running after the next shiny thing, or like trying to like catch every inspiration and churn it out, and the alchemy is wrong on what it is that you're creating, and the thing that you love is not translated right, and like, you know, there's something about this conditioning to produce, and your guys are like, not with this, not in this way. That's manipulation of nature. You know, that's forcing something. That's cruelty in pursuit of something that is arrogant, you know, and given like, it's like incongruent with what's on offer. And so your guides are basically saying, again, like accept that there is a need for you to step away from whatever that poison influence is in this creative process. That might be something that you have to do with a slow and steady listening and like focus and charting a path kind of a way. This is what you're trying to create, what you're hoping for, what you're wanting to manifest here is incomplete at the level of your own conception of it, because the picture of what you're trying to create does not match your purpose here with what you really do love. But you will see a just reward. You will see that ambition pay off. Like the right underneath, I don't know if you see this peeking out. This kind of happened on its own. You know, having a short-sighted sense of like what it means to operate with your ambition from start to finish on any given thing is kind of tripping you up. So with authority, the hunt, and natural balance, you know, there's coming into a place of authority, which means that you have like accomplished, like, you know, the hunt is like you set out to achieve the goal of attaining a thing. And then you have to like go through the process. You're sitting there, you're tracking it, you know, you're smelling the ground, you're picking up leaves to see, like, you know, this is not a passive process, but it is a focused and it is a slow process. And so there's natural balance, and a balance that you're meant to find and have in what it is to have the success that you are looking for. And so in terms of this like proper reception, you know, the part of that is being able to put whatever it is that you're doing on display in the proper arena. And I am sure, more than anything, because I can feel it, that this like slow down, listen to your guides. You have to be led into a new place and to a new direction in the way that you're doing a certain kind of thing, because you are in treacherous territory. And it's not your fault that you're in treacherous territory, but the call for a defense with the Seven of Wands says have strength. You're going to push this through at the level of sacred, at the level of holy, but the environment, you have to halt, and the method, you have to halt. And that's kind of what you're getting here in terms of the desire of your heart, is you need to stop short of like pushing this through at the level of the Fool. The Fool does not look for directions. It's the opposite. We have the Fool card in reverse. Your guides are saying the opposite of I'm just going to go in the direction that I want to go. I'm pantsing it. I don't know. That can't be it. Not for this desire, right? And so your guides kind of want you to sit with that for a second, you know, and just realize that like, yeah, what you love is meant for you. It's sacred. there is empowerment here for you in this process. There is a just reward and in the evaluation of what it means for you to like do this and do this right. You have to accept that the pacing is slow down and listen. It is not going to look like it did before. And the old way of doing it, the old method, has to completely be thrown out the window in order to make room for a new way of doing this. Something is very incomplete. The desire of your heart is not wrong, but the method really needs, we need to start at number one, reevaluating this desire. Not that the desire is wrong with the agape there. It's holy. It's placed there by the gods. But with the journey and romance, okay, you have to be in love with what you want to go after. And for the endurance that is required for you to get where you're going, you first have to truly love the journey. You have to be in love with the journey, which is more than being in love with the outcome. So if the only thing that you are in love with is the outcome, and say the outcome is, because I see the agape in the temple here, all right? And so we're going to just take it right, we're going to take it at face value almost. If what you love more than anything is working with the gods, creating this temple, this heaven on earth, basically. I'm just doing the agape and the temple, those two things together. That is building the temple, that's building the heaven on earth. That is a tall order, And so if you are going to want this, if this is really the desire of your heart, your guides are showing me that the outcome of heaven on earth, you have to be in love not with the outcome only, because then you're going to be frustrated at the journey and you're not going to have the endurance to get from point A to point B, because the journey requires endurance. The journey is miserable. So if the only thing that you are in love with is being looked at like some, high priestess, god of the earth, giver of great things, then that same character, that priestess position, the temple and the agape, has to go through the initiations and the journey, and it has to be that they love it so much, that this is so much a part of them, that this is so important to them, that it is worth enduring whatever that call to create this is. And so there's a call to be in love with the process, and in love with all of the materials, and in love with what it is to take your time, to slow down, to listen, to develop a different method when the method that you're using is not giving you what you're looking to get, to be willing to work with the crying baby, and not just idealize the adult. There is this call to have endurance, to be able to apply endurance to getting from point A to point B with what you want here. And so to do that, you first have to refine what you want, and you have to kind of be sure that you really are in love with it, because there is something for this group about allowing the picture to change for you with a rebirth is assured. That means a death. With the death card here twice, what is the picture currently? I want you to kind of pull it into your head. This picture of what you want. You want this career. You want this success. You want this type of relationship. You want this individual. And your guys are saying, slow down. You're not going to get there just on desire alone. and you have to take an approach that is not just, I'm going to get there by feelings and I'll figure it out as I go along. Halt. No, this is not the fool in reverse. You are going to have directions and a plan, right? And so in order to have directions and a plan, we got to really think about this. We got to really sit with this. And we got to put our heart into not necessarily an expectation that we're going to have rapid development and success, because something about that has to die. Something about that expectation and even an effort to that end has to go. And what needs to be defended here, is again, this falling in love with whatever the journey is going to be, so that there can be this endurance, because it's going to be required. And so let's see what your guides want to say about that yearning, that incomplete, because your guides are almost saying that there's something they have to tell you about this. There's something they want you to listen for. With the lack of empathy and confrontation, there's a confronting aspect. And, I don't want to go too long with this reading, Because with the witch, experimentation and rebellion, and the sacred fool, that's another experimentation and rebellion. There is something here that you have to have a confrontation with about how you apply effort in order for that effort to truly pay off. And without going into it like too extensively, because we do want to keep this, you know, at a level that, you know, is bite-sized so that you can really bring it in. It's not forcing something. It's not strain and wrestling it into, like, you know, compliance with you want it to look the way you want it to look. It's slowing down, and it's really asking what is not working here and allowing what's not working to die. What do I have to put into the labor of whatever this rebirth is? And this is going to be methodical, and it's going to be slow, and you're going to really kind of know where you're going before you set out on that path. And if you don't know where you're going before you set out on that path, that is why this reading sounds like this, because it feels like you're experimenting and you're in rebellion with the effort that's going to be required. And in order to accept that you have to put that effort in that way, you have to let die some expectation that it should be something else. Okay, so we have this like sticky thing around method that says it's not going to be fast. It's going to be something that you plan. And that's the answer that we're getting, pile number 2. It's going to be worth it, though. There is a reward. I will say that my dog, and I know that we're coming back to this, but I kind of have to just say, like, there's something tying this all together with this, you know, is like the most amazing, beautiful force of love that, you know, but I never in a million years would have seen that was what I wanted. So that's kind of, I'm bringing that in because I think with this listening for the truth and slow down and halt and really allow yourself to feel, there's a confrontation with something that you don't want to let die, and that's okay, but that's where we got to listen here. So pile number 2, that is where we're at. Okay, pile number 3, we've got when pigs fly. Like the flying pig, like I always think when pigs fly, there's like something to that. And so before we even start, like there is some aspect here, especially the bottom of the deck energy when I pulled the 3 cards, was this magic works through you. And so with the magic works through you and the pig that flies, and sort of a theme that has been all 3 piles is almost what is meant for you is going to be for you. I don't care what. So, all right, so at the bottom, so this energy of overcome any obstacles very much in line with I don't care what, you know, it doesn't matter what you think is in the way. It doesn't matter if you have a kind of like when pigs fly kind of feeling about it. There is something to be said for, and I love how like the pink here and the pink of the rhino, and my cat is having an entire experience here. She found a mouse, not a real one, not a real one. Playful, right? And so your guys are basically saying, you know, if you look at the rhino, the pink here and the pink here, there is something to be said for, I don't care what it looks like, you can overcome this, or you can overcome. So whatever this desire of your heart is, there's some aspect of whatever the obstacles are, you will overcome them. So let's go ahead and see what the nature of this desire is. And with the magic works through you, again, it's like there's a miraculous, like spiritual component to your success in this that you can't, it's going to be like a spiritual intervention, I almost feel. And so let's look at overcome any obstacle, especially with stuff like time that was stolen, resources were stolen, you know, whatever theft has, like there's such you guys are saying the compensation that you will get is extensive. Anyone sort of betting against your success is going to feel it in ways that they may not even, like I'm almost feeling like there's something here on offer that's only for you. And so anything that you have come up against in the way of an obstacle, your guys are saying what is meant for you is going to be yours. Anyone who is betting against that is going to be sorry. You know, and so those two things kind of come together here in terms of the threshold where you are standing with this goal. And so I think with the offering here, you know, the nature of this desire is something that you don't have to go and get, it's given to you. And I feel that very strongly. And so, and I think because this is coming up as the nature of the desire, and the pigs that fly, right? So, you know, this whole overcome any obstacle says there has been something in the way of you receiving what is meant for you. There's something that's been in the way of you taking hold of what has been on offer or what should be on offer. That threshold speaks to not yet arriving. And so this is going to be something that you have been waiting for, that you have been hoping for, that you have maybe even given up hope for, or I'm seeing somebody who's been put into such frustration with the effort that it's become one of these things that it's like, yeah, well, when pigs fly, somebody will give me, you know, like something, you know what I mean? And I think that's right here. And so your guys are saying, you know, the desire to sort of like receive what is owed to you, receive your due, like, and it's there's something that is falling. There's a balance that is being found. And so let's see. I want to get more because I don't have like the fullest of pictures right here. Actually, I'm going to use this deck. What is the offering here about in terms of the nature of your desire? What is the offer? So the offer here in terms of the nature of your desire is like, again, like there's some level of like obstacle that your guys are saying that it exists enough for you to not really believe that anybody would give you this. Something that you have in the way of an obstacle. So this can be it can be a health issue, it can be a location issue, it can be a financial issue, it can be a sense of yourself as having what it takes or not in terms of levels of talent, whatever that might be. Whatever the obstacle that you perceive in the way of you getting what you deserve, XYZ. Okay, so I'm just looking at this like as closely as I can because there's something here that is like not 100% clear. And more than anything, what was not received? What did you expect to receive that you never received? What did other people receive that you didn't receive? What have you been on the threshold of achieving but you've never actually achieved? Like, that's what we're speaking of when we're talking about the desire of your heart. And so with the pigs flying, you know, because I do see that as being a significant part of this, there may be an issue with belief here, but this this has to do with magic. There's a divine intervention, and there's something that is about the gift with this self-love here, and beauty. Depth. Depth is earned. Wisdom is earned. It doesn't come from nowhere. Self-love sort of indicates that you haven't been given the love that you deserved. You know, there is some sort of shutdown here, like when pigs fly, like, you know, like that you are not, like, your desire of your heart is to be compensated. For lack of a better way of putting it, more than anything else, I see you being like desirous of being compensated for what it is that you bring in the way of depth, what it is that you bring in the way of beauty. And with self-love being your only provision of like it's almost like the feedback loop has been closed at you. Like, you have been the feedback that has given you the stamina or the effort or the ability or the desire to sort of even get to this threshold place over and over again. But by encountering obstacle after obstacle after obstacle around what it is that you have on offer, like, this is where you have had to rely on yourself because you weren't given like your due in one way or another. And so, you know, compensation for what you give to be properly compensated, for what you have on offer to be properly recognized, for there to even be some like way in which the universe makes sense of itself for you in this way. The desire of your heart is in some way or another fairness, justice, and it's in relationship to the self-love, and it's in relationship to like that beauty not being received. That depth being somehow undervalued. Let's see let's just take a look, because this is kind of foggy to me. I want to see closer. And there seems to have been like so many obstacles. And I feel like there are so many obstacles. And one of the first things that your guys want to say is that whatever obstacles you are perceiving, you are on the threshold of success. They're saying whatever obstacles you are perceiving, what is meant for you, and nobody can take it. You know, those obstacles might seem like people who are like, you know, sitting there waiting for you to give them. You know what I mean? Like it's something really difficult here with the Page of Wands and the Two of Swords. A blocked path at the level of like the starting gate at the first step. And so your guys are saying you have been blocked. There has been a way in which you've had some sort of obstacle that's made you feel like it's not possible. You're not going to break through, right? You're not going to get that thing that you have been waiting for. And your guys are saying that this whole reading is really saying that there's nothing that can get in your way. That whatever you have received in the way of obstacles or perceived or experienced in the way of obstacles, like there's some level of like, this is contributing to a self-love that is unshakable. This is contributing to a sense of your own beauty in relationship to your death, that like no one can take that away from you. No matter what, no one can take that away from you. With this Queen of Swords, like this sharp thought came through. I almost channeled it and I was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to, sometimes when I'm channeling, like I'll see things and I'll want to like get right there with like the most like nitty gritty, and I'll, you know, often I will let something through that doesn't seem like that can be a little sharp edged. Justice, and I see it here, but there's justice to be had here. You know, there's justice to be had here in terms of like anything that you have had to deal with in the way of an obstacle that forced you into this like self-referential loop because there wasn't that thing on offer. There wasn't that justice. So you are wanting, a desire of your heart very powerfully is for justice, is for the universe to bring justice. Whatever this slow start is, whatever this block path is, the Queen of Swords here, there is something here with justice where nobody can take what is meant for you. And anybody trying to wear what is meant for you is going to be in a very like unique position of discovering that nobody loves them and that everybody loves you. If they're wearing you like a dress, if they're wearing, like, you know what I mean? There's something about like what is meant for you. Like they are not going to take what is meant for you. They are going to only sort of like, they may be perceived as an obstacle. You may feel like they're an obstacle, but essentially this is somebody who has to be faced with the fact that you are so loved, you are so adored, that it's only when they wear you like a dress that they receive that kind of attention, but they will never receive that kind of attention as themselves. Like that's enough justice right there. You don't need more justice than that. That's kind of like, and that person is not actually an obstacle, because the only thing that they've really done in the way of like, because I'm seeing this as being like obstacles to overcome in relationship to like being offered something, you know, and being at the threshold of some kind of success, but at the same time there's a pig's fly, like it's not going to happen. And you're either saying again, like it will happen. What is meant for you can't really be received by anyone else. To the extent that they try, it's just a point of pain that they're going to endure until they, you know, get rid of whatever this is. And for you, there may be a slow start here in terms of your path, but there's justice to be had. You know, like nobody can bring what you have in the way of wisdom with the Queen of Swords. No one's even close. And so your guys are saying that like, yeah, there have been obstacles, and there have been so many obstacles to your path that you have this resignation, this despair around, you know, like my success will happen when pigs fly. You know, this is going to work out for me when pigs fly. And your guys are saying, no, actually you're right at the threshold. The Fool, like you're at the very beginning. You know, this is going to change for you. Seven of Swords again, yeah, because I felt like that, like something that has been stolen in terms of that Nine of Pentacles position, what you have earned, what you have rightfully earned. So the desire of your heart comes back to justice. You know, what has been stolen that was meant to be your foundation? What has stolen that was meant to belong to you? And your guys are saying, well, nothing has been stolen that is meant to belong to you. Nothing can be stolen that is meant to belong to you. The only thing that can happen is somebody like, kind of like, you know, because I do see like with the Seven of Swords, this is some kind of deception around your value and your worth and what you've earned and what you have to offer. There's some kind of deception that has been running. Like maybe you've been aware of it and maybe it has you in this pig's fly kind of a position. But your guys are saying, you know, the only thing someone trying to hold, you know, your place is going to have is 9 of Wands. They're only going to be under breaking point. They're only going to exist under breaking point. You really can't look at competition as an obstacle. Because I feel that that's kind of what we're looking at. I think it's kind of what we're feeling. You know, competition is an addiction to war. There are people who are addicted to war. And when they see something that they want, they go to war for it. Even if what they want is you. You know what I mean? And so somebody who is addicted to war, that's an addiction. There's a limit to the power of persuasion. You can't get them out of an addiction to beat you because they're addicted to war. They're addicted to competition. What's driving them is addiction. It's not the desire, you know, to create what is meant for you. The desire to create what is meant for you will always be yours. It will always sustain you, and it will always sustain the process. And what is meant for you will always find you. Anything that presents as an obstacle is probably a delay, and that delay is there to shore you up at the level of self-love. When you're dealing with people who, you know, present themselves as a competitor, it's always envy, and it's always like an addiction to war, and you can't talk people out of addiction. And that's going to be their mental, like I see it, somebody's got like an illness, you know what I mean? And so when we think about that 7 of Swords, that deception around your value, you're being established, you're not being established, you're being slowed down. And your guys are basically saying, you know, the depth that you carry is what's on offer. You know, the self-love that you cultivate is what is going to create the boundaries that are going to make you impervious to this sort of like environment and the things that go along with it. And the beauty that you hold is undeniable. It's just what it means to encounter you. And so with this notion of, well, when pigs fly, I'll see the justice that I'm waiting for. There will be some kind of, you know, way in which I'll, you know, this is like a breakthrough kind of a thing, that threshold. I will, you know, eventually enter. I will eventually like get to that point where I am going to receive. And your guys are saying, yeah, because nothing can stop it. Because it's magic. Because it's the forces of the universe that have been on your side all along. And whatever presents as an obstacle, your guys are saying it's actually just like, your guys are saying like, we'll allow stuff that is going to delay you enough to like facilitate some collapse. We'll allow you to be delayed enough to learn what it means to not be impervious to competition, because that's just somebody's addiction. They're driven. They're not driven by, you know, an actual thing that they love. They're driven to try and attain a sort of attention, or they're driven to like get proximity to you in, you know, this weird deception. Like there's all these ways in which competition does not exist in the same arena as actual potential. And so you're gonna have to, you guys are basically saying, you know, it's not when pigs fly, it's you can overcome any obstacle. And if the obstacle is there, it's because it's some sort of a redirect around strengthening you to receive what is meant for you, which nobody can take away. And so your guys are saying, you know, whatever you're dealing with in the way of like standing at the threshold but feeling like you never arrive, you guys are kind of speaking to that here with the Hermit, and that there has been a lot that they have been preparing you for, and a lot that has required a pace that is slower. Because that 7 of Swords is like, you know, somebody thinks that they're getting away with something, right? And with the Fool card being about like what? Like they're getting away with nothing. They're getting away with like a process of excruciating discovery that has nothing to do with what you're supposed to have here with the 6 of Wands. You will be victorious, because what is meant for you can't be taken by anyone else. And if it looks like it is, it's because that wasn't what was meant for you. And if it looks like it wasn't meant for you, and it's not what is meant for you, the joke's on them, right? Because what do they actually have? What do they have? With this 10 of Cups, you know, you are going to reach a level of emotional satisfaction. The desire of your heart is to be celebrated and loved and have your emotional needs met, all of your emotional needs met. That is done not by drive, not by competition, not by, you know, some addiction. That is done by being in this process where you understand that what is on offer is meant for you. There are magic aspects here. You know, there's aspects of the divine intervention that will ensure that you get what is meant for you. And so for you to believe that you can have this emotional fulfillment, that you can have this fulfillment in relationships, this is a family. 10 of Cups is a big family of people who support you and love you and take care of you. The way that you get that, there's only one way to get that. Only one way to get that. You can't compete your way there. The only way to get that kind of recognition and that kind of love that is available with this 10 of Cups is to be true to yourself. To be true to yourself is to be deeply invested in self-love, deeply rooted in self-love. It's to have your beauty be something that you don't flinch, you know, that like in revealing and stepping into and operating. And that takes a level of strength that you have been refining. And so your guides are saying you have been refining the strength to overcome any obstacle. And your guides are guaranteeing that you will overcome any obstacle. With the 6 of Wands here, that's victory in your new beginning. And you're at the threshold of a very new beginning. You know, with the 2 of Pentacles here about being, you know, your guides are saying, you know, you're going to find some balance. You know, you're going to find some balance around this 9 of Pentacles, 7 of Swords perspective that is no good. It doesn't serve you. Because with the Magician, like, that's what you are. You have every, like, I think that this is the hardest part for you with the Devil here. Yeah, I can feel that. With the Devil and the 3 of Wands. The 3 of Wands is about expectation. You put all this work out there. You did all this work. You put your heart into it. You put your soul into it. And there's just obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. Look at all these things in the way of you getting compensated. Look at all these things in the way of you properly, like, you know, holding your place in what you've tried to build. Like, blah, blah, blah. You know, that hermit, like, all alone in the struggle. Not really. The divine is with you, right? And so with the 3 of Wands, really speaking to like your ships coming in, the effort that you put out there, bringing back the profit that you are meant to, like, you know, enjoy, right? You did it. You sold the stuff. Now you're going to get the profit. And so this is about your ships coming in. This is about you getting what you deserve. This is about you having what you, like, there's no obstacles. It's arrived. Things have arrived. You are receiving what you are meant to have. That's the bottom of the deck energy. And so your guides are saying, here's what's going on with this. There's something that you're meant to have. You put a lot of effort into it and you are deserving. There's some belief here that the obstacles have gotten in your way, that you can't have what is meant for you because the obstacles. There was a divine detour. There was a tower coming for that entire, whatever it was, because I see it's like an industry, it's a corporation, you know, it might even be like a position. Like there was a tower coming for that. You were never meant to be a part of that tower. That's for everybody who needs to be flushed out in the toilet, right? The Devil here is a belief that you are somehow shackled to some circumstances where external things can take what is meant for you. And I think that there have been obstacles that have like really made you feel that way. But the Magician here is saying you have what it takes. You have the beauty, you have the confidence, you have the charisma, you have the wisdom, you have the talent, you have the divine genius. There's something here between it. There's a skill gap that you have to overcome. There's no two ways about it. The threshold, you're not quite there. There's something that needs to be overcome. There's something that you're meant to receive here that you have to kind of like operate through whatever this sense of obstacle is. Especially because whatever you have on offer with this beauty, there is some need to be so rooted in self-love, because that level of beauty, that level of talent, that level of giftedness, the Magician has every tool that they could possibly need. Having that combination of power is going to put you, you know, through the paces when it comes to people opposing your success, undermining your success, even if they don't realize it. Having to interact with some sort of like, you know, like experience of competition. Like, again, this isn't against you. It hasn't been against you. There's nothing about that isn't a mirage and an illusion. Because again, your guides are with you on what it is that is meant for you cannot be taken. You can be put on pause. You could be moved through a detour. But you're not held at the threshold indefinitely. We have a 6 of Wands and we have a Fool, but that starting over with the Fool card, that new beginning, that launch in a new direction. Let's just get a couple cards on that. Because my throat with my voice. And the King of Swords is about like having mastery over language. And so there is some call here to sort of get clear on your own messaging, to sort of work with what it is to like, the Queen of Swords is like speaking directly. It's not indirect communication. And so there's something there about that. And whatever obstacles you have felt, like, because I feel like there's a litany of obstacles that you let run in your head where you're like, those people do that, and that person does that, and that does this, and this does that, and that's why, you know, there's no place for some, like, you know, blah, 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 me, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel like there's a litany of complaints that you have about the level of obstacles that you've had to kind of like, you know, encounter just trying to get whatever this offering is, you know, to the table, or trying to just receive whatever that basic recognition and compensation ends up being. And so your guys are saying, you know, the devil is like being shackled to this slavery around like, oh, you know, I'm not going to get where I'm going because like those people, that thing, that way. And your guys are saying like, no, like, you know, none of that is true. None of that is true. There has been a process here where you have had to develop rooting in a level of self-love that meant that you can show up with that level of talent and beauty. I mean, that's basically what that means. And so until you could, you were going to be held back. Until you sort of worked out what it meant to sort of not be affected by people, because that's what you were going to need. You're going to have to be sort of held back. There's some lessons here that kind of you had to be slowed down for. Your path had to be blocked. You had to be redirected because of the tower that's coming. Okay, so there's a tower coming for others. It's not coming for you. With the Seven of Wands, and your guides have been defending you. This Seven of Swords, whatever somebody thought that they got away with, there's a tower coming, right? So there's a tower that you are being preserved, you are being saved, you are being kept from. And your guides kind of want you to know whatever looks like an obstacle, it's been to slow you down, it's been to circumvent your path, it's been to put you into a position where you would not be wrapped up in the tower that is coming for so many. The King of Wands is talking about the King of Wands, the Page of Swords, and the World. Yep. There's something there's someone coming in here. The King of Wands represents like almost like a wrecking ball, almost like a war, almost something that like comes in and like causes a tower. And with the Page of Swords being about like a message here that like changes everything, these obstacles have not been against you. They have been like sort of like creating for you a perfect entry, a perfect threshold to step through. And so your guys are saying, you know, the magic works through you. And what you need to know about this desire is that like there have been obstacles that have sort of been involved, but they are more of a defense of you and what you have to offer than they are in your way. And whatever that Seven of Swords somebody got away with, they did not get away with it. They did not get away with it in so many ways, with the Temperance being like the angel that is coming to bring balance, the angel that is the alchemy that you require. You've required an alchemy, you've required strength, and you've been put through it with that Ace of Cups. The divine loves you. This collective, the divine loves you. If they don't love you, that, you know, like that's, I would be surprised, right? You know, and so with the Fool here again being about like there is a new beginning. The Fool is showing up twice. There is a new beginning. You are meant to take that. There, like I almost see like a door opening, and you're given a choice, and you're being told like you're at the threshold. I see the door opening. So there's something here that someone's going to offer you in relationship to the work that you have done, that you have been prepared for by the obstacles that have come before, so that you can receive what is meant for you, so that you can have that justice. So, you know, your guys are saying, you know, as for this desire of your heart, like we've got the story, and with the method here, the method is, you know, be prepared for this door to open and this opportunity to come, and you're going to, with the Fool card, you're going to take that leap of faith, and that threshold that you're standing on right now is one that the obstacles that you have been presenting in the past, you know, the obstacles that have been presented before you in the past, this threshold that you're looking at over here, those obstacles that you think are pigs fly, I'm going to get treated right. Pigs fly, I'm going to have the right reception. Pigs fly, this person is going to see me in the right light. And your guys are saying, no, everything that you have had to go through in the way of an obstacle is going to ensure your success as the opportunity presents itself. But the obstacles do not speak to a lack of success. They speak to like preparation for that actual success. And so that's kind of what your guys are saying about this desire of your heart. Like, yeah, obstacles, absolutely. That's been in preparation, believe it or not, so that you can step into this new place with this depth that you're carrying. Because it also entails a tremendous amount of fertility, so that there's something that you are bringing into the world, that with the World card being new, that is being birthed into the world, that you've had to be ready for. And you're almost there. There's a wrecking ball here with the Tower that is coming for some others. It's not coming for you. So you're being moved out of that. You are not connected to that. Yep, there's a death coming here. I felt it, and a power, right? So with the death, you know, especially with the sanctuary, it's in relationship to something that is sacred. And again, like, I feel like you have an exemption with this. Yeah, you've been enduring, you know, so there's something that has, that sanctuary, something sacred. There's a wrecking ball coming in. There's justice coming in, and you are a part of the rebirth. And so your guides have not blessed you in this arena because there's a wrecking ball coming for it. But they're blessing you in relationship to offering you power, as you step into this opportunity that is, you're poised. It's almost there. And so with that Ace of Cups, you are so loved by the divine, it's ridiculous, you know, and what is being, I'm seeing a table being set for you. The table that your enemies set for you, they will be sitting at. And the table that is set for you is one of power. And so pile number three, pile number 3, we are through the hard part of the endurance and the obstacles, and we are moving into what it means to receive. And this tower that's coming is not coming for you, but in the aftermath is your blessing. And so pile number 3, when pigs fly, and they will, there's something here for you. There's something really beautiful coming in for you.